But they're all going to come with the little windscreen. And this...
Hold it up like that.
Oh,
Can
like
see
that.
it?
Can you see it? Ah, can you see it?
Can you see it? Great.
The windscreen.
Take flight. Good morning, talking about the earth things. Good morning, it's me and me from the wings. From the winds.
Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode From the Wings, and thank you, Mike, for joining us again. We were talking about some things that are just basic principles that actors might wish to know, or maybe even you as an audience think, oh, that's interesting. How do they do that? So we're going to talk today with our favorite technical director about one of the most common things that you have to do as an actor when you're in a production, and that is to mic yourself up. And that doesn't mean Mike Larson yourself up, it means put your microphone on. So Mike has a couple of different principles for us today, and he might even end with talking to us about how to do a proper mic check. So Mike, what do you got to tell us?
Well, this is all going to be based on how we do it at Overshadowed.
Truth.
You used to be able to say there's more than one way to skin a cat. Can you say that anymore?
I don't think so, because animal rights.
There's more than one way to cook the soup. Right?
There you
Could
go.
be electric or fire. Anyway, there's more ways than one to do it, and everyone has their own opinion. So I'm going to explain kind of what we do and what's been successful for us. I guess I'll start with some pouches. So we personally have different options that people can put their microphone in a pouch. Like this, my pouches often are numbered. We put a number on the microphone. Since we can run 32 mics, we put a number on the mic and a number on the pouch, and that way the tech folks know who they gave a mic to and that they got it back. But we can have pouches like this. The microphone can go in there and it come around like a buckle.
So let me just put in the cons to things that happen like that as well. If you are going to wear a microphone like this, it's very comfortable. It really is. I've done it like this before, and it keeps everything nice and secure. But for girls especially, sometimes the costumes are a little bit tighter and a little bit more bulky. So for my costume this time for the play that we just finished with Harvey, it showed really funny across my waist, and so I ended up not being able to use this particular kind. So just think through that. The costumers like to be told you're going to wear one of these so that they can make the costume a little bit bigger if there's something they have to go across.
Yeah, and this is black, so you can also get them in white, because if you wear a white shirt, this can sometimes see through. So these are if they're going to go around the waist. So this would be probably the most bulky concept, very secure. This is another concept. It's a little bit thinner. You get the belts, and then you can have a pouch. It's another company that offers that, and then you can secure the extra cord there. Then we can go real thin. This is around the waist, but this is not bulky at all. So it's very thin. And again, you get these in different sizes, and this one here, there's no buckle. I wore this on the last show. I really like these. They're very
I've never seen these.
Tight fitting, special. Yeah, I've got a few of these now, and these just go around your waist, and they are elastic, and then they just will Velcro to themselves. So they're unlimited adjustable, but you can still get these in like a small, medium, and large length. For ladies, we have sometimes a thigh pouch. So as Reba was saying, if it's too bulky around the dress, so this would be a thigh pouch. Same concept, Velcros to itself, but it's just a little bit thinner. And then you would have it on the thigh, and you'd bring the cord up, up underneath, always underneath the costume. So the microphone goes under your costume. It's best to keep the microphone on top of an underlaying of fabric. If the antennas touch the skin, it does reduce the RF strength. We haven't had real problems with it, but it's best if it's against fabric and not your skin, but it works fine the other way too. So we go up under the costume. So this is another thing. Another thing that's possible with pouches is folks are using like bike shorts.
Yep, that's what I did this time.
Pouches in them. It's getting real popular. It's very similar to this concept of having a thigh pouch, except it's in your shorts.
And like this I understand for somebody who's dancing, sometimes it might not be as secure and they've lost their thigh pack sometimes when they're doing something extreme like that. Whereas the biker shorts are probably not going to fall off.
Right. I would say that is a very high percentage and a good observation.
Well, we hope not. Anyway, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, based on what you're doing and the shape of your thigh or whatever, then that could be a bit of a challenge. So that's kind of the various types of pouches.
You can also, for girls, like if you have on a bra, then sometimes you can hook it to that. But not all of our microphones have a hook on the back of them. So you would have to have one that has a hook on it in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they all have hooks. I take them off.
So you can always put them back on.
Yeah. Because if you're not going to use the hook, then it just makes it thinner. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how they would do them. The microphone goes underneath the costume, and then you have costume changes. The mic doesn't have to change. And
that was really stressful for me this time because I had on a couple of layers and I had to change really fast. And so I really had to think through now, where am I going to put my microphone so that it receives the not interference that it needs to. It receives the, what do you call those? The frequency.
We'll call it RF.
The RF that
Radio
it needs to.
frequency
Yes,
strength.
there you go.
Yes.
So that it does that without interference, but yet at the same time it makes it so that I'm not worried about whether it's going to fall off in one of my quick costume changes, because my costume changes were really quick for the first half of the show. So there's a certain amount of security and things you have to think through, but that's where your technical guy is there to help you say, okay, well, what if we did this for you?
Right.
So
right. It is distracting if a microphone or the cable, the lavalier, they call this a lavalier. If this thing is falling off, it can really mess you up in a scene, and we want the actor not to think about that.
Right.
So
They feel comfortable and not worried. And so what are some things that you do to help with that?
So if we start with just basic taping of a mic, if I take a standard mic, standard lav, don't have any earpieces or anything like that, then what we do here, typically this would be underneath your costume. It'll come up and it'll go around your over the ear, like that.
Yep.
And here we go about 2 fingers from the mouth. We have a fairly small stage, and sometimes 30 people mic'd up. So we don't like microphones far away for everybody, or up here on the forehead for everybody, because you have to increase the gain to pick that up. And now you've got 30 people, and we tend to get a much higher percentage of feedback if we do that. So for most people, we will go ahead and put it a couple fingers from the mouth, okay? And we use this, surgical tape.
And then you can just get that at like Walmart or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Walmart or the Amazon's version of Walmart.
Yeah. And for people who are allergic to certain kinds of tape, do you have a problem with this tape?
So these are latex free, and that's usually sufficient, but they do make cloth ones. So if we go a couple fingers from it, right, and I'm just putting that there for now, I typically, I tape up before makeup, and then a makeup over.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't like to stick to the makeup, but we'll put a piece of tape right there, let's say, another one right there.
Yeah.
Just going to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And then if you turn your head away from the mic, that's so that when they do that on stage, they're not going to pull. We'll do another tape here so that it's secure around the ear, because this is where it will flop off the ear. And then one more back here at the neck. And then it's going to be nice and secure for the entire time. For actors that don't have very much experience, we'll typically mic them up, or people like Reba who like me to mic them up all the time.
Well, for me, it's like they have told me that if they don't get it exactly right, that I have a distorted sound, or that it's hard for somebody to,
Right.
and so I want to sound the best, and so I get Mike to do
Yep.
it.
So right here, I'm very secure.
Yeah.
And if I turn my head to the right, it's not pulling, and that's because I taped it with
Yeah.
my head already that way. If I taped it like this, and then I taped it, as soon as I turn my head to the right, it's going to pull.
Yeah.
And that typically tries to pull it then this direction, and you end up with this under the tape. And
Which happened to me again during this show.
Happens,
Even
yeah,
though he
yeah.
mic'd me up, sometimes it would pull, and we had to
So
redo
that's
it.
a standard quick, and I did that very quickly, and I would be good now for a show. And then
What about somebody who really sweats a lot?
So, if a person really sweats a lot, the one thing about microphones is like these are waterproof, but that just means they're not ruined. But if they get wet, they don't work until they dry out. So if a person sweats real heavy, you want to keep sweat away from here. But in terms of taping, I'm going to take this off. There's other methods, and I'm going to go to show you a type of mount that we use, which is what I used in the last show. I really like them. They're from Point Source Audio. Not that we're going to be marketing some product here, but they have these types of ear mounts. Okay, and this thing is just there's a groove in here. This guy can go right over the ear. I gotta pull this, and so that now is pretty secure on the ear, and you just have to tape it once here, and then in the back you can use these clips. You can see a clip on here. So this clip here would clip in the hair. So if I bring this up at the back, and I'm clipping it in my hair.
Even hair as short as yours.
I use this the whole time, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you clip it to the hair. Now you really only have the tape here. And if you're a real sweater, I would bring it back, because now I'm securing it here and the ear is helping.
Yeah.
And then I have it clipped back here, and that keeps me tight on the ear. And you don't have as much tape to deal with. If it's extreme, I didn't bring it in. We do have some thin, it's a medical product, but you can put this thin tape on the skin, and then you tape the mic tape to that.
You wouldn't do that on your face, though.
You could do I have.
Oh,
I have
really?
done it on people's face. But you can put one in the back, and that stuff sticks like crazy to the skin, and then the mic tape sticks to that like real crazy. So it keeps it all away from the skin. It's what they would put down on your arm in the hospital before they put an IV on. They tape the IV, so they've got this tape, and then they tape your IV to the tape, and then it never moves. And so we have done that, and I have some of that material. But this can work good, a mount like this. And again, you can bring it up here if there's only a couple actors. But if you got 20, 30 people mic'd up, you're gonna want to bring it closer so that you don't have to have everybody gain so high. Because you see it all the time up here, but if you get a bunch of people real close and they're all yelling at each other, everybody's being picked up by everybody. So anyway, so that's kind of how we can deal with a person who may sweat a lot, is you eliminate the tape and go with a mount situation like that. So this is a type of mount we use. We mentioned the clips.
They come in different colors too, right?
They do. They come in brown, white, and black. And you can use more than one. Reba was in our last show. This actually was her microphone.
It was.
She was Vita Louise Simmons from Harvey. But on hers, I used two of the clips. I used white because she's not gray, she's blonde. I used the white ones. Anyway, same scenario. I was able to go on her face, and I had one piece of tape, and then I used a clip back here, and then I used the second clip further back in the middle, and then it goes down the back.
And I actually had, he usually tapes down the back a little bit, but I actually had him tape a little bit lower because we found that with just my fast costume changes and everything, that by the time I changed my clothes 3 times, it was pulling out. But after he started taping it further down as well, then it stopped doing that.
Yeah.
So.
The key is that the microphone needs to be secure, and then the excess cord needs to be also secured, so that doesn't snag on things and pull. And so if you're changing costumes quickly, they yanking on the cord, and then it ends up coming loose and giving you some trouble. So now if a lady's wearing a wig, again, sometimes you can then bring it right up through the wig, and you're using bobby pins in the wig. That's of course fantastic for placement. The downside is going to be based on your equipment, you may have the chance of a lot of feedback. So I will put 1 or 2 ladies maybe in a wig with a forehead, but I would not put a whole ensemble.
The wig has the forehead?
The wig has a forehead.
Yeah, okay, so with the wig with the forehead.
The girl has the forehead liner, whatever you call that thing. I'm lying. She can edit this out. But anyway, so we cannot in our theater have everyone on the forehead.
Because it'll mess up the frequency.
It's just it doesn't sound good. And I've been to places where they're all doing it and it doesn't sound good and they just keep doing it. So we'll do it occasionally. It just depends. And like in your case, some persons, their heads resonate differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds much better up here. And you say, well, that sounds the best, I'm going to do that. And other people, you just have to find that right spot. And that's why when you go to a theater, you may see people have different placement all over. It's not always preference. Sometimes it's because that's where they get the best sound.
He spends a lot of time trying to figure out, how to manage 30 people with our microphones, and he does a pretty good job. We've been to a lot of different theaters, and you might not have the most professional stage, might not have a Broadway stage with a turntable and all this other kind of stuff, but there's certain things you can do to give you Broadway type experiences, and sound is one of them. So we think it's very important to do it right. One of the things that we find that actors don't take seriously sometimes is just the whole idea of the mic check. I think, too, you'll find that every time we have a different sound person, they kind of do a mic check differently. Mm-hmm. But if you're running it, how do you like the mic check to be and why?
So first of all, you'd like the microphone on the actor where it's going to be, as opposed to just holding it there while they run off to
People do that a lot.
To go to makeup. So it's best if they can be in their final situation. You want them on stage. You don't want them right next to you. You want them on stage in their real scenario. And then you want them to speak like they're going to speak in the show. So we always say, speak to the back of the room. Sometimes people I have a microphone, therefore the microphone will do all the work, and I don't need to project. But they need to project just like they're going to be in the show. They need to say lines, they're loud lines, like they're going to be in the show, so that on the board you can get a feel of what's really going to happen. If you don't take the time to make them do that, then you'll mic check everybody, and they're nice and soft because they're not, and then they get on stage and the adrenaline's running, and they're yelling like crazy, and it's like, whoa, I'm way too hot. Everybody's too hot. So we like to do that. Number one. Number two, if there's a group that's going to be together, say a quartet or some ensemble that these people always sing together, be nice to go ahead and mic check them together. Individually, yes, but then together, so that you can kind of get the mix right, how they're going to sound when they're on stage together singing. You've got, if you know the soundboard, if you're a soundboard kind of a person, you understand gain and you understand compression, that kind of stuff. Hope you do. If not, you get compression out of the way. I do. That means I don't want it to affect the sound. Get them to sound good, and then bring that compression down so that you're not affecting their normal speaking, and then ask if they have loud lines. Have them do those lines so that then you can bring in the compression at the right place. And I'm sorry if you don't know compression.
But why is it important for the actor to take this seriously? Do you find that most of us do not take mic check seriously?
I think our natural tendency would be not to take it seriously until they're told. No,
yes.
Is that how it's going to be in the show? I just think they believe the mic check is to make sure the mic works.
Yes.
And the reality is...
Well, we could do that anywhere.
We could do that. I could do that myself, right?
Yes.
Test, okay, this one works. But the real purpose is to try to get their EQ and the compression and the level, so that everyone is going to come in at the same volume level, because the audience will notice that difference.
Yeah.
And even if somebody, I hear people sometimes say, well, this person is really loud, they don't need a mic at all. And that may be very true. They could possibly blow that room out without a mic. However, everyone has to come through the speakers, so they sound the same. So even if a person is typically really already a loud projector, you need to get some of that through the speaker.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise it's like everybody I hear is coming from here, except that person's coming from
Yeah,
stage.
and that's weird.
And it is weird. Even though the volume is the same, it's different. And different's not good.
Yeah. Again, you don't want to ever have anything that takes the audience out.
Right.
So if all of a sudden actually, I think as an audience member, I'd go, oh, that person's mic isn't working. That's where my head would go to. And I was like, oh, they need to fix it. So you as an actor, I'm sure, do not want anything to be distracting for you to take away from your performance. And this is one way that you can help the technical team to make sure that it happens the right way so that we can make you sound the best and have a great production.
Yep. And then also doing the mic check, if there's singing, making sure that music is balanced to that same level.
Yeah.
So, you need the music to be part of the equation. So you're gonna play the tracks. You're gonna make sure all the tracks are, or your orchestra, which you cannot control quite as nice, but make sure the volume is there so that the music is also correct for the singing, and then correct for the speaking lines if it's underscore. So all that's important, so that at the end of the day, the audience member hears something pleasant and natural, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So the mic check is really important. Now, what we find is that once you go through dress rehearsals, and you do mic checks 3 or 4 times, you pretty much have things set. The EQs are all set, and then for shows, it's really fairly quick. You're not changing much. You're just making sure that nothing has changed. And things in the humidity in the room can actually affect things. So it's interesting. You can have an afternoon show and it'll be perfect, and in the evening everyone seems quiet, and it's the environment.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
And for a while I'm like, how could it be so different? So you do have to go through the process, but normally there's not a lot of EQ changing. It might be everybody. Maybe the gains will have to come down a little bit because the weather changed or whatever. It's magic. If it's an empty show versus a full audience,
Yeah.
then
that changes
that
it
also
too.
can make a difference. So if it's full, there could be a slight difference. You may have to have a little more volume in a full audience because everybody's eating the sound waves or whatever. And then if you're outside, every single time you buy labs or whatever, they're always going to come with that clip that I take off, unless someone wants to hook it on something. But they're all going to come with the little windscreen. And this
Hold it up like that.
Oh,
Can I
like
see
that.
it?
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Can you see it? Great.
The windscreen. Anyway, this we don't use them on stage because they look
Because we're
bulky.
not full of hot air.
That's exactly what I was going to say. No, because with some people think, well, this will keep from the popping, right? And that's true if you're
Pop your consonants.
if you have a boom that's right in front, you need these.
Yeah.
Because every time they go, it'll hear it, the air. But we keep the mics back far enough that you should be able to set your system where you don't pick that stuff up. But if you're outside, then the wind is dramatic. It's really dramatic. So you want to always have these on if you're going to do something outside, like our Shakespeare on the grass.
Yes,
for
like we
example.
just did.
Yes. So these are important to keep.
The care and the miking up of an actor 101 with Mike Larson. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you drop them down in the comments below, which could be your reminder to make sure you follow or like us. And we hope to see you next time in our next episode of From the Wings. Until next time, this is just me
And me
talking to you
from the
wings.